Hello, my little weirdos. Do you notice anything different? No, the purple green Halloween hair has been there for a little bit. Not that. I voted today. Now I'm in New Jersey, so early voting did not start till the 26th, which was Saturday, since I don't have a vehicle. And I usually have caseworker or somebody. My family works on the weekends, and their caseworkers are off, obviously. So I had arranged to work to go vote today because she had to vote too. So figured why not? It's the third day of early voting. Opens at 10 for early voting, and I didn't know where I'm going to work. I have this week sometime they're going to be sending the email from the Department of Elections on where my voting place is, what polling place I'll be working at, because it's very rare that you get to work in your own polling where you yourself vote. And so we're on the road. And she says, "Oh, I'm not going to vote today because my mom yesterday wants me to go with her to vote on election day on Tuesday, on election day next Tuesday." And she just doesn't want to go alone. I guess she doesn't vote often or not. I don't know. So she was like, "Of course. So she wasn't voting today, which is fine. Um, New machines, like the ones in Georgia. So it's the first time we're using them, which is kind of exciting for me. Um, First time I've used them. And I gotta tell you, when we pulled up, it was about 5 minutes to 10. They opened at 10. When you go to early voting, you don't have to go to your polling place. You can go to any early voting place, no matter what polling place you normally would be assigned to vote at. Early voting is different. You can vote no matter where you live in that district. You can vote at any early polling place. It's different than on election day, because they generally don't have obviously as many people as election day. We got there about at least 5 minutes before they opened. And I gotta tell you, I saw there was at least 2 dozen people in line already, waiting for the doors to open. And I teared up because it was like, if you vote and have voted every time there's elections of any type, you would know up until this year, you didn't see that. Now, last election, we saw something we didn't usually see, and that also brought me to tears. The 2020 election with all the newly minted, freshly of age Gen Z voting. Just lines and lines and lines of these young voters. That really it really brought tears to my eyes, because it seems that my generation, I was born in the early 60s, and it seems like mine is the last generation until recently, until 2020, that treated coming of age to vote as important as coming of age to drive or coming of age to drink legally, drink alcohol legally. I mean, a lot of us in my generation, we looked forward to being able to vote. And it was like, as soon as I was able to vote, I was like, when's the next election that I can vote in, that I can exercise my newfound privilege, my newfound something I'm allowed to do now. I'm old enough. And I couldn't wait to vote. But there seems to be a lot of people in the last born, after me that coming of age voting wasn't something to be excited about. And that's when you get to have your voice and say whose plan for this country and your life you want to be instituted in your country. Voting is your chance to say, no, I don't want that, or yeah, that's what I want. Because if you don't vote and what you don't want comes to be, do you really have any right to complain when you had the chance to change that and you didn't? You couldn't be bothered. You didn't care to put the energy forth and the effort and the time to go vote. But you think you have the right to complain about how things are? Not really. You're given the honor to go and vote. And so many don't take it. But you're very anxious to drink and drive, aren't you? Does drinking determine you're being able to drink? Does that determine how everyone's life is going to be directed in this country? No. Does your ability to drive affect everybody else's lives, specifically and directly? Not really. If you hit somebody, yes, but we're talking just driving in general. Does it affect how this country, what direction it moves in? No. Now, does whether you vote or not make a difference in which way this country turns next? Absolutely. So why is everybody so anxious to drink and drive when that doesn't change everyday life for you and everybody else around you, those you love? And you're very happy to do those. But the one thing that does make a difference in everybody's lives, everyday lives, you just can't be bothered to do. But you sure are complaining a lot when shit doesn't go the way you want it to go. So if you want people of color to have the same rights as straight white males, voting matters. If you believe that women should have the same rights as straight white males, then voting matters. If you think Puerto Rico, which is an American territory, matters how America treats it and helps it, then voting matters. If it matters to you if women can control their own bodies and what happens to them, if it matters to you that somebody you know, that somebody you care about got raped and he got her pregnant and she is forced to carry that child, even if her family disowns her, and she goes into drugs because she cannot handle the fact that she has to have her rapist child and raise it, if that matters to you, you should be voting. If it matters to you that women who want to have babies and find out something is terribly, terribly wrong and that child is going to die, but they're going to be forced to continue to carry it even if it's dead. And do you understand what not only will that do to her physically if she doesn't die from the sepsis that would happen before they're allowed to take action? If that doesn't kill her, do you know what her mental state is going to be? If that matters to you, you should be out there voting. And for all of you who are voting, thank you. Thank you. Because everything I mentioned, Harrison Walls, Kamala and Tim, they do care about those things. They care. And they're the ones you should be voting for if you care to. Have a great day. And I want to frame this and date it. Oh, guess what? I was going to tell you. While we were in the car going to vote early, the election board calls me to tell me that I was actually assigned. I will be getting an email in a few days like everybody else, but she wanted to let me know that I'm assigned to my own polling place, which never happens. If I didn't vote early today, I would have been able to go to work at the polling place, be there the entire 15 hours they're open, and voted there myself. Even if I couldn't find somebody to take me early voting, I would have been able to vote because I'm working in my own precinct. And I even told her, I even said, that never happens. I worked a decade into that, never happens. And she says, yeah, somebody left this year. And I wonder, because we have a lot of people, they advertised in Morris County, Jersey, that they needed workers. And they had a pretty full class when I went last week. And I think what's happened is, we used to do that in Arizona, is we wouldn't leave if you finally worked enough years where eventually you got it to work in your own polling place, and you knew every year that's where you would be. You tended to not want to leave the election board after so many years, just high and dry with a small amount of voters, a small amount of poll workers, and having to try to juggle and make it work. So some of us, some people, some of those really older, I was 30 at the time when I was working, and a lot of them were my age or even older, and a lot of them didn't want to stop working until they knew elections wouldn't be shorthanded. And I'm wondering if maybe because of the influx this year of all the new poll workers that signed up and trained to work, if maybe she felt, or he or she, whoever it was, felt secure enough that they got enough workers now that I can step down. And it's a long day. I'm telling you, it's at least a 15-16 hour day, because the polls are open from 6 in the morning till 8 at night. You have to be there at least an hour early to set up all the machinery, to set up all the stuff, to sign things, put up all the signage. And it closes at 8, so it's already, from 6 to 8 is already a 14-hour day. It's 15 because you have to come an hour early. It's actually 16 or more, because it takes at least an hour before you have to pack everything up. You have to count, sign, seal. I mean, it's a very, very, very specific order of things, and everything has to equal, and you cannot leave if it does not. You have to do it over again and over again and over again, and keep counting and verifying and account for every single item and piece of paper that you were given at the beginning of the election. It takes concentration. You can't read, you can't listen to music, you can't watch anything you can't be sitting there on the phone unless it's just a very fast emergency call type thing. I mean, and you're with the same 3 people all day long. And it's a long day. It's a long day. when you can't do any of that stuff to keep you awake, to keep you engaged, if there's not a lot of people there sometimes, certain parts of the day, it's just, it's a very long day. And then after all of that, you got to be mentally alert to count and figure, and, it's a long day. It's a long day the older you get. So that, I just can't believe how incredibly fortunate I was. So that was very interesting. But I still think, even when you're not in your own precinct, it's not that hard. You see, I did it, and I don't even have a vehicle. Went and got voting done. And I am so happy. Just if you're in New Jersey or you're in any state that uses the Dominion machine, now that I've actually used it to vote myself, let me explain something about this. And this is how I'll guarantee those flipping that Marjorie Taylor Greene keeps insisting happen. I keep saying she accidentally hit the wrong thing. The woman, probably the voter, did not bring her reading glasses or something and hit the wrong thing. I can guarantee you now, I can verify, that would not be hard to do. Just be careful when you're working with the Dominion machines that you don't hit the wrong thing. Let me explain that. Most of us with the button, you've got this big, it's a big screen that you walk in on. It's like huge. The other ones weren't that big. And they have the Republican column, they have the Democrat, they have all the other ones that were, just names by nomination, that the petition, nomination petition, they had enough names, so they got on the ballot. There's several of those, actually. I've never seen so many of those. And the write-in section. Now, most of us, the button is about like that big. So you usually go for the center of the button, and most of us push it like pushing it straight on with the right, you touch it. That it wasn't lighting up. It wasn't selecting. And I did it 4 or 5 times. I'm like, what the heck? So then I used the pad of my finger and hit it, and it highlighted. But I did it in the center, but it highlighted the number, the person underneath. Now, I still don't understand about how if it's all Republican is in one column and Democrat is in another. It's not the same as they used to be. I remember when it would be like president and then all the ones. Vice president, and you'd, that type of thing, and you'd choose from there. Here it's actually Dominion actually puts them in the party columns. How hard is it to not hit the right column? But I will say, when you hit with the actual pad, the full pad of your finger, it does work. However, if you do it in the center of the button, it's going to wind up selecting the name below them. And Raspy, come on, this is an important video. It's going to select, so I had it deselect it, and I was like, that's weird. I know I hit this button, and I hit it again in the center, and it selected the name underneath it again. Deselected it, and I tried hitting it just on the top part of the button. So the pad was in the center of the button, and just a good push, not a tap. It has to be a good little push. And that selected the correct one. I know it's ridiculous. You have to be told how to push a freaking button, but the way you have to touch it, most of us, it probably is going to hit the one below. If you're hitting, most of us hit the middle of a button. That's just a human thing. You go for the center of the button to make sure you get it on. But the pad part is touching the bottom part. And might select the person below you. However, I still don't understand. It would still be in the Republican, if she were trying to vote Republican, Trump, you vote Trump here, The Republicans are the first column. The Democrats are the second column. I don't know how you would go to hit Trump and it picks Kamala. That's not even possible. They're not even in the same column. So do not believe that crap. I have personally voted on those machines just an hour ago or less. It is 11:13 and I voted. It was 10:13 when my turn came. That's funny because it was an hour ago. And that is not how they work. The way Marjorie claims. She's lying. There is no way that woman or that voter didn't screw up. It was just because it is so hard to screw it up. And they screwed it up twice. That's probably why she didn't want to say, I kept hitting the wrong button. Because after that, when you finally get everything voted, and then there's a section here for like the local stuff. For us, it's school board right now in my area. So you did that, because that wasn't in the presidential kind of shit. And then it has you press something that's supposed to be, these are, vote these selections. And a screen pops up. It says, are you sure this is all verified? So you have to hit that. Then, that's, of course, you have to put this card in before you even start. Then, it asks you to confirm whatever, and then you do, and then it even asks you again, are you positive all your selections are correct? You say yes, and then it pops up again. Are you sure this is your basically your last chance? So basically you get 4 chances before you hit yes the last time, before it actually counts those, actually votes those. 4 chances to fix a mistake. Any mistake is the voter's fault. There's no other way when you've used the machine and seen them working, and I saw them in the class last week, after we get how there's no way there's a mistake made unless it's the voter's mistake. Not the machine. Not the way it's set up. It gives you 4 chances. 4. To make sure your vote is correct. Just saying. Peace out. Make sure you guys vote.